Yeah, so
Yeah.
about 30% of relationships get broken up because of money issues. 30%.
Don't pay me too
Okay, you
much,
lied. So
oh.
it's not like you didn't. So there's two scenarios. You didn't say anything. Nobody asked you, so you didn't say it. Oh, but then you were asked, and then you said you lied.
Wow. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You see yourself? I'm looking at you right here on the iPad.
Whoa, I'm so handsome.
Yes, you are.
Hmm.
Babes, today we're going to talk about money.
No way.
That's a lot of people's reaction when it's time to talk about money in a relationship.
Yep.
So, why is it such a hot topic?
Because it's personal.
It's personal, yeah?
Like it's mine.
Do you feel like I'm in your space when I talk about money?
I worked hard for it.
It pushes me out.
I worked very hard for it. It's my blood and sweat. So
My money.
my hours, my
Mm.
time, my dedication.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. I just
Yeah.
want to do as I please.
Plus, it's not like we earned it together.
That's
So
true.
why should we talk about it? Why should we talk about how each person spends their money?
This is this is why it's a hot topic for
That's
sure.
exactly why. So a bit about us. My name is Yuti,
My name is Josiah.
and we have been married for about a year now. And
Yes.
one thing that actually made me know that this guy over here was the one was when we could talk about money.
And that was very early on. I knew I wanted to bring it up very early on in our relationship because
Yeah.
it's a deal breaker for a lot of people.
I'm glad he did because I would have never brought it up by myself, at least
Nope.
until a very long time, because
Yeah.
I wasn't even in a good financial place.
Yeah, and you were a little bit more, like not really comfortable
Yeah.
sharing. It's very personal again, right? Like money's a very personal thing,
Hmm.
and maybe money is not always something other people respect, especially when it's not their own. They just don't get it. It's just really hard to get money.
And of course, when you're in your single life, you have spending patterns. I think that I would have classified myself more of a spender instead of a saver. I don't think I was frivolous, but I wasn't like counting every penny and putting it into like a bank account to save it.
Yep, you were definitely
Talk
more.
about yourself. Why are you all up in my business?
You were definitely, your own person
No,
at the
you
time.
were definitely
But
your
I,
own
I,
person.
I'm still, I still love to save money. It's how I get through things is by saving to just prepare for the worst case scenarios.
Mhm.
I'm a natural saver, I would say.
Yeah, and left to me, we gon' ball out.
In and out.
Ay.
In and out. Coming.
What
come
goes
out.
in goes out. What was that computer thing they taught us in school? Is it garbage in, garbage out?
Yeah. Money in, money out.
MIMO.
And
Mimo.
this is we were different. We had different personalities when it came to money.
Yeah.
But that's also why I really wanted to discuss it. I didn't actually know too much about you financially, obviously, before we started talking seriously.
We knew a lot about each other because
Yeah.
we literally grew up together.
Yeah.
In fact, we came on the same flights to Canada.
Yeah.
But there were still certain things that we didn't really know the tea. Like, does he like to spend money? Does he have a lot of money? Do I have
Yeah.
a lot of money? Do I like to save money?
Yeah.
And when we started talking, I think what was so impressive was that I never felt judged, okay, while I got my situation together. And also, you not only were you really, really understanding, but you actually inspired me.
Did I?
I've changed a lot. Like I'm like, we've got a payday plan. Once we get paid, here's what's gonna happen to that money. I have a plan now.
That's very good to hear. One of the reasons why I really wanted to bring up money very early on was because I always listened to Dave Ramsey.
Oh yeah.
Dave
Oh,
Ramsey is
yeah.
always preaching that if you're ever gonna be with someone, you better also talk about finances together.
Mm.
Better discuss it. Be very open about it. If you have debt, let the other person know.
Yeah.
You have to plan your finances together for the future. All these things. So, and I've also there's a statistics out there
Mm.
that says that there's a certain amount of people that break up due to money issues.
Oh my goodness.
Can you
Well,
guess what that statistics is?
20 20%.
It's actually 30%. 30% of
I was so
relationships.
close. I was gonna say 23, which would then be 30%.
Yeah, you're very close, and I give you the props. This is the credits falling on you now.
Oh my.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
about 30% of relationships get broken up because of money issues. 30%. That's high.
That is like if there are 100 people and you split those people into 3 groups.
Yes. About a third of relationships. So
Ooh.
it's quite spicy when it comes to money because we hold it very strongly, right? This is something that we worked hard for. Why let
Yeah.
somebody else just come in and just all of a sudden dictate how you spend your
Yeah.
own money? It's heavy.
Okay, this is one side of the story, right? You worked hard for the money. There are also people that are spending money they don't have.
That's
And
another
that's
one.
also their lifestyle. They're like, you're going to die anyways. Why not just max out the credit card? Why not just borrow money to
Yep.
fund your dreams and your business and just keep going?
Yep.
There are different types of people that I can already list out. There are students that are utilizing credit cards to get by. There are entrepreneurs that are, really trying to get that startup off the ground and they're just utilizing credit cards as well. And it's not even like they're doing it in a way where, it's going to the business. A lot of times they are just like using their own personal credit to really fund this type of endeavors. And, there are also couples that are about to do the big wedding, which we talked about a bit in one of our episodes. And sometimes people also go to the credit card. Shall we call the credit card Mr. CC, or is that too much?
Mr. CC?
Yeah, like the guy you borrow from.
I'm gonna find it very difficult to think about credit cards and then relate it to Mr. CC. It will take me a while.
Credit card, CC.
I get it, but like Mr. CC just sounds like someone, an actual person.
But that's the hack. When you use credit cards, it almost feels like you're not borrowing. But you are, in fact, calling up Mr. CC and saying, I'm going to need like 800 from you. And Mr. CC, even though you don't hear back, is probably saying, cool, but when you don't pay, I'm going to be charging you 24%.
Yeah, but it's not like that, though. In reality, we're just bringing it out of our pocket and just, boom, tap.
Boom, boom, boom.
It's a matter of seconds. There's no phone call. There's no yes or no. There's no, hey, by the way, I'm doing this.
But, if you truly understood how finances worked, you will understand that you are, in fact, calling up the bank to borrow that money. And there is already an interest rate that they're going to be attaching to that.
Yeah.
And, because imagine if you actually had to apply for it every time you needed it. A lot of people wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, they're out. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But so many people have different,
philosophies.
Yes, some ideas about debt. Some people are like, yeah, bring it on. So far, I live a good life and I enjoy my life. I'll just grow my debt and you'll be fine.
And even if they don't pay, guess who's going to pay? The next generation.
Okay, how about this scenario where both couple don't mind debt? They just keep spending that dollar.
It happens though.
And it grows, but they're able to live a healthy life and to buy the cars, to live a good life, buy a good house. How about that scenario though? Because they both agree on how they're spending it.
Obviously, we're not on here to judge anybody's decisions and how they decide to do things. We are just going to shed some light on how we do things to help you figure out how you want to do things. So if you're a couple that you're okay with debt, no offense, but this might not be in alignment with how you live your life, like your lifestyle and your philosophies. Because for us, I wouldn't say that we're like pro no debt at all, because some debts can be good debts. That's something that I'm actually learning about a lot. At the same time, you gotta think about it. Like, I think that so far for us, like we really try to like scrutinize wherever we are borrowing from Mr. CC or Mr. B. Do you know who Mr. B is?
It's the bank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was easy. It's the bank.
I mean, CC is the bank too, but think about Mr. CC as the cousin of Mr. B because Mr. CC is like the nice cousin that you can chat to and get money
I
from. But when you go to Mr. B,
yeah.
he's like, where are your papers at? Like, you know.
I this this
The
might become.
analogies.
Is there a Mr. A coming? Is there gonna be a Mr. D? Because this could grow. There's a
Oh,
lot of
but
institutions out
that
there.
is a solid point because at the end of the day, it's not just the bank that lends money. There are other mortgage like lenders
Oh
that are
yeah.
out there,
hmm
and the only difference is you don't just tap it. You don't just go, oh, I'm just gonna grab a mortgage here and I'm just gonna blah blah blah. No, you actually have to go through the process, which allows you to think deeply
Yeah, deeper.
about
Yeah.
what you're about to do.
Credit card is probably the easiest one. You just again, it's all yours. You're just
Easy
tapping it.
until you spend it all and have to spend years trying to pay it off.
Yeah, I mean, like it's very good that we communicated about money and brought it up early because now we're not starting from zero. We kind of know where we are at. We know a lot about where we are at, so we can start to help each other plan out things.
Oh yeah.
Like for example, the debt that comes into a marriage from one spouse belongs to that spouse even after the marriage.
Really?
Yeah.
They
The
don't
only
share
the
it?
only one that is shared is like, house debt. If you buy a house
Really?
together, if you had like
Actually,
student loans, for example, that's on your name, even after the marriage.
I'm surprised about that because I heard it actually gets absorbed by the other partner as well.
No, not all of them. Not all of them.
That's
So
interesting.
you don't want to be very careful when you bring in your own debt into a marriage
Wow.
because it's still yours. And you might be trying to pay it off, for example, the other person doesn't even have any clue
That is
where your money
actually
is going.
true. You know,
And I know there's a lot of shame, right, that can go into debts.
yeah.
But like you said, there's some really good debts. Like I think student loan can be a good debt, right? If you are using it to fund your education, that will get you income eventually.
I'll
So
say yes and no. Like the idea of student loan is really amazing because it allows people to go to school
mhm.
and, advance their lives. The idea of not paying it off and just leaving it, that is a question mark to me because if the percentage that you're paying in interest is so high, then that's a bad debt because it's never gonna, like, it's not like a house that eventually you can sell the house and like get all this money back or it's developing equity. The only thing that 9 to 5 that student loan can give you is the 9 to 5, and if you've secured that, then you kind of have to think about like, is this a good debt or a bad debt at this point?
yeah, and you're right. Everybody's situation is different. Some people have a plan to pay off that debt. 7 years paid off. When you pay it off, then that's it's okay because now you're in positive net cash flow, right? So you're good. However, if you plan to just never pay it off and it's always something you're paying every month in terms of interest and you're
Yeah,
not prioritizing it, then it can become a negative. That's why every situation is different.
100%. And you have to just look at your own situation and make some decisions or talk to like a financial advisor or
Mm.
someone that you really think can give you good advice. Babes, what were some of the benefits that you've seen in our relationship ever since we've spoken about money and just because we're so open about it with each other?
Just one that comes to mind immediately. That's trust.
Oh, yeah.
Like okay, let's just play a scenario here. If you never told me about my, if I had asked you, I said, oh, by the way, this is how much I'm earning right now. This is my plan. I'm planning that I will not be at this industry forever. I'm gonna be switching.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be here. It's night shift. I'm more comfortable with night shift, but it's okay for now. The money is gonna grow as well next year. And then you're like, okay, cool. And then I asked, what about you? And you never told me, like not just that time, the first time, but you never, ever, ever were comfortable. I will eventually find it very difficult. It means something, so you're probably hiding something from me.
Because I didn't want to tell you about my future plans.
If you never were comfortable talking about money, just money.
Okay.
Money means your money, your future plans with money, maybe the debt you have or your future, you kind of what you're trying to your career
Mm-hmm.
goals, stuff like that, I would find it very difficult to continue sharing about my own situation with you, because
Yeah.
then it's just like it almost feels like I'm telling you I'm telling something you don't really care about.
It's true though. It's definitely like a two-way street.
Yeah, so I would have lost trust. I would have
Yeah.
just said, you know what, she has something that's going on here that she's not comfortable letting me know. Why doesn't
Mm-hmm.
she want me to know? Like, does she think I'm gonna dupe her or take her money? Does she think that it's too personal? She doesn't want to share that part of her life with me. I'll have so many more questions than answers.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when you're open and honest with each other, it really allows you to start from a really good foundation.
Yeah.
Because I always think about like when it comes to money goals, if you ever try as a couple to just go at it like this, like one person is trying to save, the other person is just spending exceedingly, eventually you're just going to see that you never get to that target that is in front of you versus if you go like this, right?
Mhm.
So I always think that you have to come together, develop a plan, have a goal, and then just work towards it together.
Money is a very big thing, right? It's a
Oh,
big part
yeah.
of our lives. It affects how you live your life and your future too. Like, what
Hmm.
future do you want for yourself? So if you don't share it with your partner, then you're living different lives. You
Yeah.
actually are living different lives.
I love that. I love that we're really honest about it. And I love that we have seen that type of benefit in our own relationship. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, for me, one of the best things that have come out of just discussing my financial situation is that I have completely made a huge 180 in the
Yes.
way I handle money.
Yeah.
Just leaning towards like saving, having money goals, having routines, like assigning a dollar to everything.
It's an amazing point
Yeah.
because I have learned the opposite.
Mm.
I've learned that I can dream big. I can have more of that abundance mindset. I put it in quote because so many people bash that phrase. It can be thought of as becoming more greedy or becoming, just not satisfied with what you
But it
have.
depends on how you're applying it, right? Like if you're someone that you always buy the cheapest stuff, even when it doesn't last, eventually you're just going to see that you're actually spending more because you have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to go for quality because it costs a little bit more.
Yeah.
That in that situation, you can say that having a more abundant mindset is just about using your money effectively.
I just like how we've like taken the best part of
Oh
our
yeah.
habits. Like, like I'm not bashing spending now these days. I'm just like I might as well just spend the money in the right places. It's okay to spend money in the right places. Don't be too cheap, right? Don't be too cheap because you're gonna have to spend the money again. Might as well just spend for something that's worth it now, and it will
Yeah.
save you money in the future. These are things I'm learning, just here and there, just picking it up. And this is all healthy, by the way. Like, I don't want to be stuck in my ways. My ways is
Yeah.
great; it's got me here, but it's not perfect. And if you like to spend money but you don't save a lot, well, it's time for you to think about that just a little bit more. The other way around too, right? If you like to save a lot and you don't spend, well, maybe you should
Yeah.
try and
Find
give
the
yourself something
balance.
nice every once in a while.
Find the balance. I know that when I started saving, I would come to you and I'll be like, I feel like I cannot give myself money. Like
Mm.
I'm saving for the future UT and for the
Yeah,
future
she's
us.
$2 is too much.
I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, I
Like,
was like,
why are
I'm
they
shocked.
charging me this? And you would always tell me that it's okay to just
Yeah,
spend a little on myself as well.
yeah.
So that's something to look out for when if you're a spender and you become a saver. Just make sure that you're not also going on the extreme.
Yeah,
Try and find the middle point. Like, how do you achieve your goals while also having some enjoyment for today?
yeah. There's a statistics I want to share. I think it's a good place
Okay.
to share it. 47% of couples
Hmm.
um, say that they have these disagreements or fights, money fights, once in a
Mm.
while.
Money tussles.
Yeah, 47%. That's almost half, and I think that's very normal. Actually, I think 100% of couples disagree at some
I
point.
do. I do agree with that. But what I was trying to explain to you earlier is I don't think they're talking about disagreements. I think they're talking about tussles where someone gets so upset that the
Mm.
relationship is now in danger.
Okay.
Like, have you seen those movies where people get into midlife crisis and start buying boats and buy cars and like buy
Yeah,
leather
yeah, I
jackets, and
can
then
see
the
that.
other partner is like, "You're spending all retirement money,"
Mm,
and then eventually they're like, "I'm fed up. I can't do this."
mm.
So I think disagreements do happen.
100% of the time.
Yeah,
What you said.
because even if it's not about money as in liquid cash, it could be about, oh no, let's not eat out this week. You might think it's about the food, but the underlining factor there is like the budget, the money. I think we're spending too much outside. Let's eat inside. So it does happen. And the other person might be like, well, I don't want to cook.
Yeah, and then we're like, well, what are you gonna do now?
Exactly. But I don't think it's uncommon. I think that, 50% or 47%,
Yeah,
it sounds about right.
yeah, I think so too, and it makes sense, right? Like money is also how you live your life. So we don't always agree about how we want to live our lives. We're living together, we're partners,
Yeah.
but we still have our own preferences.
And individuality as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I've always thought about, is when I hear pastors or people say things like, if you guys aren't sharing a joint account, what is the point of the marriage?
Excuse my heart. Just like all these things are like hot topics.
For you, by yourself, because it's not for us.
Not just for us, but in general. In general, I've had different opinions.
Okay.
On the internet, on the interweb.
Oh, you mean like when you watch those types of videos, they get you agitated?
Videos, people's comments, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I don't agree that a couple should completely merge their accounts. I don't agree because sometimes we make it seem like if you don't do that, then you're endangering the relationship. But I know so many cultures where the man is the provider.
Yes.
And those relationships still like flourish and they're still okay.
Yes.
And I think that maybe it's more of a Western culture thing, that if you don't merge accounts, then the relationship is in danger. Because I mean, if I called my mom, I don't think my mom would be like, did you merge? Have you guys merged your account? Nah, like, my dad was the main provider. Like, I'm sure my mom, she had her own little thing. Not little, like a good amount. Like, she had her own money. But basically, when people joke, like, his money is my money and my money is my money, I think that is the culture that my mom grew up in, and they have an amazing marriage. And my dad takes pride in providing for the family, and my mom takes pride in stewarding what has been provided. So I really don't agree with it. And the thing that pinches me, the thing that gets on my nerve,
Trying to pinch you.
don't pinch me, babes.
Oh.
The thing that gets on my nerve is when they try to make it biblical. That because God has joined you two together, why not join the account? And if you can't join your account with the person you're sleeping with, like, they just take it all different places. And I'm like, I think just like everything else, we're missing the message. I think it's about your heart posture. Do you hide money? Do you go in secret and buy stuff? Do you make your partner feel guilty when they buy stuff so they also start hiding things from you? It doesn't matter if you share an account, if people are developing habits that can affect the account and just doing it in secret.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I like the idea of a joint account. But that's for me. I think some people cannot really do well with it. I think the reason it works for me is because I do agree for the most part that your money is my money, my money is your money. I think most people can see that. Maybe not most people, but a lot of people can accept that to a certain extent. But I think what a joint account really is for your joint spending. So if you have like a mortgage, bills, stuff like that, I think it's okay to have a joint account for that. It's not necessary. You don't have to, right? I don't think you have to. Again, my opinion, don't think you have to. But I think it's okay for things that are joint. Just because if you miss a bill, both of you have missed that bill.
Yeah.
I affect both of you.
If you don't pay the mortgage, you're both going to be homeless. So, not just one person.
In that scenario, yes. To check the joint account for all the monies you have, I like that. I still like that. Obviously, it's different. It means that now you're gonna have to literally spend together. You every time that money goes out, it's like both of you endorsed it to go out.
Yeah, and you know what? I understand that big purchases need to be discussed, and I'm down for that. But I do feel like individuality still needs to exist. Because at the end of the day, like some things are not just, I mean, this is just me as a young person just talking with my naivety, quote and unquote. But it's like this whole like when God has joined you together, so you should join everything together. I don't see us merging together to go and work. I don't see us merging together to, go to the washroom. I don't see us merging together when we eat. Like, I don't see us merging together when we drive. Like, it's like, I don't get it. I think people should share their philosophies, but I don't think that people should take their philosophies and make it like a biblical, like, something God said.
So what I think is, you can join your finances without having a joint account. What I mean by
That's
that is,
true.
I can always tell you what I'm spending on, because
Same.
I trust that I'm spending on the right things first of all,
Yeah.
and I trust that you'll be okay with it. Even before telling you, I already know that it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So that means I don't have any bad habits, because we have a joint account and I had a bad habit and I bought alcohol every day, and that money is coming out of that account every single day. Now that is something that I wouldn't even want. Right? I'll probably say no to joint account and just use
But
my own money.
this is where I also say it's like saying, when people say like your partner should be able to access all your phones. I think yes, they should be able to if they wanted to. But should they need to? Like, they make it seem like when it comes to this shared account, everybody needs to know the exact penny that is being spent. I don't think so. I think in that type of relationship, there's no trust. Because I shouldn't have to check your phone.
I think if they both agree, if both couples want it that way. So for me, I think it sounds very nice, very romantic. Like, all my money is yours, literally. Like, there is no escaping. Like, everything I spend is for you, and everything you spend is for me as well. It makes sense for both of us. Very romantic. I like it. But if the other person doesn't agree with it, then there's a problem already. Like, you can't just force it, right? I don't think you should force that on somebody else. It's too big of a commitment.
And I also think that people should realize that also personalities are at play here. It's not just that this person might not want to do a joint account with you. It could also be that to them, still being independent in their identity,
Exactly.
even as they are codependent and partners with you in the marriage, is still important.
Yeah, and I think this is a good scenario to discuss. What if they don't agree? Literally, they know that person.
Then you have to remember that it's not about joining the accounts. It's about why do you join accounts? Transparency and accountability. So if you don't want to join accounts, how do you get both of those things?
Actually, there's a reason why people join accounts. There's a very good reason.
What?
I think I've gone to someone as well, like, I want to say, not a therapy, but pastor figure that had said joining account is amazing. Even Dave Ramsey says it's okay. It's because then you guys, like, it makes it very, very clear that both of you are in it together.
It makes it clear. So hold on. The ring doesn't make it as clear.
No.
The wedding, not as clear. Sharing the same house and doing things together, not as clear.
No.
But joining money is where it becomes absolutely clear. As if the person cannot go to the bank and just withdraw it the next day.
Yeah, well, it's just...
It's an illusion.
It is an illusion. But it works. I think it works, but both of you have to be in agreement. If not, then it's a very bad idea. I wouldn't recommend it. I would think it's really, really sucky. So I think you should both respect each other's views on it. I wouldn't force it on somebody, because it's too much of a commitment. Why would you want to force that on someone that doesn't want it?
Yeah.
So if you don't agree, then maybe do a half and half, a joint account for certain things, like certain bills, and then just give the other person their personal to do what they want to do with it.
not one thing is going to work for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to figure out what's going to work for you, and your spouse or your partner. Your spouse, not your partner. Okay, I'm just going to give an advice that nobody asked. If you're not married, why are you joining accounts? And I know there's a whole concept of like living together and becoming, basically the law is going to look at you as married.
Yep, that's common
I'm just
law.
going to say, if you're not married,
I wouldn't recommend it as well. Like, it's too much of a. I will have to trust you enough
if this
in my
person
spending,
can't
in
even
my income.
commit to you on a level of marriage,
And it might not, see, this thing might not play out to be negative. It might work out fine for many, 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 many years. It might be good for both of you. It's just not, I would not recommend it. That's all. That's all we're really saying. Like, ultimately, it's just our opinion that we don't
and then
recommend
just
it.
talk about if you're dating. You're just like dating, young in love, and then you just open up your bank account and share it with this person.
It's possible that it plays out fine. The person never cheats you. You just know that. Like,
It's
I'm
not
not a
about
cheat, so I will
cheating.
never
It's
do
like
anything.
boundaries. Like boundaries.
But this is the thing, right? When you're married, then it's a different commitment. Different
I'm talking
levels
about
of
people that are
commitment.
dating.
If you're dating, and you have a joint account,
I think you're doing too much.
you might as well get married, right? You might as well just get married.
It's like, oh, we're not at the stage to talk about marriage yet, but y'all share an account.
Yeah, because it means you trust that person enough, right? Like, you would think so. Like, you trust that
Or
person
they're
enough.
conning you. You know, they've brainwashed you to believe that you should open an account together, that they love you so deeply. Nah. Don't do it just for your own protection. You know, like set yourself up for success.
How about this scenario where one person makes more than the other, and you are sharing a joint account for bills and stuff like that? Is it some people have this question where should they both put in the same amount of money, or the person with the most income should put the most into the
Why
joint
are
account?
you going outside to ask random people how you should do that?
Because they don't agree. They don't know.
If
What
they
to do.
don't agree, they need to talk about why each person feels the way they feel. Because there's nothing anybody's going to say out here that you now go and be like, according to Reddit's thread section 1.4, well, most people do it this way. It doesn't mean anything what most people are doing. The bottom line is what both of you are going to agree to do.
What if there's a disagreement?
Then y'all are having a real disagreement and you need to go talk to a therapist.
Therapist or a financial advisor?
I think it's a therapist because it's not really about the money.
Interesting.
I think it's about like not having a shared vision. Because if both of you are working towards a goal, you're not going to be out here like, I'm going to hold on to my money because I have this other thing I want to do with it that's outside of our goals together. You're going to lean in because ultimately you're both pulling resources towards that goal. And if someone has shared a goal that you pretended to be okay with,
Yeah.
and now you're like, I don't want to put my money in that because I don't actually want to do that. Then again, it's something that you need to work through, right? I think sometimes a lot of the money issues, it's not about money. Even the Bible talks about it. You know, like money, just the love of money, wanting money, loving it so deeply. Not just, well, I'm not talking about just money in general. Money is not a bad thing. But the love of it, that greed that comes around it, that can really cause a lot of things.
Yeah.
Not the money, but the feeling attached to it. The way we idolize it, that can become an issue.
So if there's a disagreement, you should just sit down and talk about like why. I keep asking that why. Why do you feel this way? Why?
It shouldn't be only one person asking it,
Yeah,
by
it's
the
a back and
way.
forth.
Yeah, like really get to understand. See, is it the Bible that says it? Like, show me where your treasures are, and I will show you where your heart is. I think I'm paraphrasing.
Yep, your treasure is where your heart is.
Exactly. Money is just a treasure. And what you want to spend it on shows where your heart is. So if you're having a disagreement about money, what you're actually disagreeing about is where that person's heart is and where your heart is.
Do you believe that conversations between couples is usually the place to find it. Like, do you think they can always find the answers by asking this why? Like, you're believing that if they just keep trying to dig deep, they'll be able to find
This
the
is where people come
solutions.
up with weird terms like irreconcilable differences.
Yeah, I think that's where
Yeah,
I'm headed
but
here.
guess what? If you're a Christian and you're hanging on to the money more than your marriage, you've got a heart issue. And like you have to look at it from a spiritual aspect as well. What is it about this money thing that as a woman you cannot submit to your man? Did you choose a man that you cannot trust to lead you?
Mm.
Because that's a big thing.
Yeah, it might be a red flag, eh? That could
It's
be a
not
red
just
flag.
red. If you're already married, it sounds like you chose your own prison. Like money is just one of the way that you will know how you really feel.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, or maybe another thing could be that perhaps you don't think the other person has the knowledge to actually steward the money properly.
Mm.
And in that situation, if it's truly that that's the case, why does the other person feel like they have to be the one controlling the money? Like, do you understand? Then that's a pride issue.
Mm.
Like, as a man, do you not trust that God has given you an amazing partner that is going to lead you to success?
Yeah. These are all great questions that you should ask ourselves in relationships. And I
Yeah.
think it's communication, right? I personally don't think you can always find the answers from communication. I think you can reveal problems, you can realize areas of improvement, but sometimes to get a new habit, to get new perspective, you might need somebody else to come in.
And that's okay. Like I mentioned, therapy is a great
Yeah,
resource.
yeah.
And also praying to the Holy Spirit, because I'm telling you, money is not like a shy topic in the Bible.
Mm.
And if you're not paying your tithe,
Yeah.
it's time to start doing that, because it really allows you to almost like disassociate from this feeling of my.
Mm.
And you just know that God is giving you a certain amount for you to steward.
I agree. I agree.
What advice would you give to someone that is not even sure how to handle money? Like how to even make money? Like, we talk about money, but there are people that are just like, they don't even know where to start. Like,
Is it a saving question? I have to save, or how to make more money,
it's just
or
money makes them
how to talk about money?
nervous. Yeah, how to talk about money.
Yeah, well, this one is it can become very uncomfortable very quickly, right? Sharing, for example, the debt that you accrued from school, or debt that was passed on to you from something something your parents did. I don't know. It can be accept that it can be awkward. I think you have to accept it. I knew when I brought up that topic of money that it could go very bad. It could go very bad very quickly, but I had to. It's so important not to.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I believe in getting help. Dave Ramsey, and just listening to people like that, people that literally understood money, and that people that saw the issues that it could create if
Yeah.
you don't bring it up, really helped me. Like reaching out to people, just to kind of get it started. You can also start with some ice-breaking questions, like just make it fun, right? Bring down the whole awkwardness of it. Say, hey, babes, if money was not an issue right now, what would your future look like? Just
Yeah. Oh
very
my
soft
God.
conversations.
I just remembered when we were talking and you asked me when I plan to retire.
Oh yeah.
I was so upset because I'm like, I haven't even figured out my right now. And you're talking to me about retirement? Like, I'm so far away from that. Oh my God, am I not? Like, I started freaking out and I was so upset, but you were so patient. That's
Yeah.
another thing. You have to realize that maybe your partner is not at the same stage as you, especially when you guys are just dating. And you want to talk about it, but you don't want to be judgmental. It should be a safe space. And if the person is not ready that first time you bring it up, you shouldn't just like get defensive and burst out. Like, give the person space, give the person
Yeah.
time.
I mean, also depends on your partner too, right? You're hearing the word like patience and understanding. Some people are just simply not. Some people are proud. Some people came from. So this is a scenario. Some people came from money, and
Well, if they came from money, why are they asking you about your own money?
because they want you to know that you don't have shit.
Then you need to leave that person.
Exactly, right? I think this is where you will realize a lot about someone when you start talking about money with them, because they can get very personal, can get very
dismissive,
proud,
arrogant.
Yep, and this is where you expose people's true personalities. Honestly, money can do that to you. The retirement question wasn't even an attack. I kind of was. I was trying to probe. I have to be honest. I was trying to probe, but it got her thinking about retirement. Maybe later on, it eventually came back up again, and then
Yeah.
we kind of spoke about what life we want to live in retirement. Nigeria. You want to go back to Nigeria to retire?
Nah.
Hell no. So she agreed with that. I'm like, that's fine. She agrees with that. That's good. Where do we want to live? US, Canada,
Everywhere.
Panama, Indonesia. Just discussing all these. These are fun things. Make it
Everywhere
fun.
in the world.
Remove the awkwardness of the money conversation. Bring it down. Just say, hey babes, if you had all the money in the world, where would you want to go right now? And trust me, people will start to tell you all the things.
Open-ended questions. Yeah. Well, that sounds amazing. I want to end with a very fun story that I heard once.
Okay.
So two people were dating. Actually, they were married. So they were married. And so every time the wife would say to the husband, please, please, I need money for groceries. Please, please, I need money for shopping. And he would always give. Like, it's not even like he had so much money, but he would just always like sacrificially give, because it's his wife. Then one day he would ask her like how much she earns, but she didn't want to disclose it. So he wanted to respect that. But then one day, somehow he found out that she was earning even more than him.
Okay.
He was so upset because she kept all of her own money, then took some of his, knowing fully well that she earns more than him.
I can see this being very upsetting.
Oh my goodness.
Very upsetting. What
would you do, or what would you advise a person, like a guy in that situation to
My
do?
honest opinion? Okay. It's not just that I'll have to sit her down and really talk about this. Is that like you have to show that this is not okay. I don't even think she might not even know, but she probably does know. Let's be honest.
Why was she hiding it then?
She probably knows that she doesn't want to spend her own money in this relationship. In her mind, the guy is supposed to spend all the money, and that's her perspective. The guy also probably even believed the same thing because he was also spending money too. So, and he was also like, he wasn't complaining when he was spending the money.
But
right?
I think he was doing it from a place of love. And now he feels that he's been deceived.
And that is where you have to, first of all, want to hear what she has to say. What do you have to say about this? Like, why do you do this? I just want to know why first. And if it's something that cannot be reconciled easily, this is a therapy situation. This is something that you have to, this can be, because if she's willing to change, then that's good. Okay, that's a good place to start. If she's like very proud about this behavior and not trying to change it, very, very bad. This is called financial infidelity.
Hey, is that a thing?
Yeah, it is a thing. Today it has become a thing. I think it's a thing. It's a thing, right?
It sounds like a thing, but I don't think that's the definition.
But it makes sense. Like, that's not fair. That's like cheating.
Cheating is when you do it with someone else outside of the marriage.
This is cheating against
thyself.
No,
cheating against
because
thy
how can I
union.
trust you, right? Like, for me, the money thing is it's a trust thing. Like, how can I trust that lady again? Well, I won't want to spend money on you anymore. Especially if you don't want to even tell me why you did all that. If you say, I just didn't want to spend my money. Well,
maybe
why?
Her love language is collecting money from her husband.
But you can do that without. I guess she wasn't dishonest because she didn't even talk about it at all.
But she kept saying, no, they don't pay me much.
Oh, then she lied. Okay.
They don't pay me too much.
Okay, you lied. So it's not like you didn't. So there's two scenarios. You didn't say anything. Nobody asked you, so you didn't say it. But then you were asked, and then you said a lie. So you lied.
Okay.
That's a problem. You cannot trust that kind of person. That's a deal breaker if you cannot fix it.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that everyone listening has gathered some tips. Money is a topic that can be really, really uncomfortable, but it's super important. It can lead to your marriage and your relationship thriving,
Mm,
and it can also lead to the breakdown of your relationship.
mm.
And when you're dating, you have to understand that one of the things that you should discuss, not just her favorite color, and where she wants to go on vacation, which are all important things, super important things.
Yes, they are.
But also, you need to discuss money goals. How are you spending your money? What are your money patterns? And don't be out here judging so that people will not have to start hiding when they buy
Yeah.
stuff. It's just not good. You want to build a safe environment. And if there's something that you're truly not okay with, like I can imagine someone just saying, like, if my wife is a spender, I'm gonna have to leave her. I've literally heard men say that they can't date a certain type of lady, someone
Yes.
that spends X amount of money on her hair, on her makeup, in her outfit, things like that. And it's okay. Everybody's allowed to have preferences,
Mm,
but you want to talk about it because, and for the girls, just because he looks put together,
mm.
just because he has that nice watch and he bought you the big ring or he's saying he's going to buy it, it doesn't mean he has the liquid cash. And you really want to ask yourself, are you really understanding how much money this dude got? Not because you're out here like gold digging, but because gold digging, sorry, it's not because you're gold digging, it's actually because you want to understand the future vision that you guys have for each other. Because what if he's so wealthy that he actually does not want his wife to work at all? Like, he's like, once you marry me, you ain't gonna work. But you don't actually, he doesn't say it out loud. He perhaps just thinks it's implied because he's got all this money. But you're like, I'm a working woman. I would like to work. These are things that you need to talk about. It's not always that someone doesn't have money. It could also be that they've got way too much money, and so it's making them see the world in a very distorted way.
Yes.
And for the ones that you meet them, they look good, just still have the money conversation, because in a place like Canada, everything can be on credit.
Mm.
And you don't want to go into the relationship only to realize that your partner has thousands of dollars in debt, not even for positive assets, for depreciating things. We're talking frivolous dresses and shoppings and just eating out and spending money at the club and all these different things. And you're like, whoa, so now I have to contribute to paying for the life that you had even before we met.
Mm.
And it's not even like I'm going to get a reward for this because everything you spent on wasn't even great. You have to make peace with that. If not, it could cause some issues.
Can I ask a question? I have a question that's top of my mind right now. So, if you realize that maybe there's a red flag, you still really love this person, just one red flag, and it's not like you trying to make it work, you're hopeful that this can be fixed, would you recommend to get a prenup?
Prenup. I don't know.
Because like it protects you inside the marriage, it protects you from any debt, anything that is showing red flags.
Yeah, I understand the concept, but I don't have any advice.
Yeah, I think this one is one of those where it's depending on the situation. I don't think it's necessarily bad to protect yourself, especially if you're in a situation where you believe that you're going to have to protect yourself. The question I obviously ask is, if you think there's something going on, how not just like address it up front. Can be very awkward, but you might be saving yourself a lot of stress.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand it because in today's world where we're meeting people all over the world, and you could ultimately marry someone that you've never known before,
Yeah.
up until the moment you started talking,
Like long distance.
it makes sense, even in person. But it's like you dating for how long? Maybe a year. You have no idea about their other lives, and sometimes we share selectively. And eventually, maybe they'll tell you everything, or maybe they hope they'll sort it out themselves. Whatever the case. Yeah, so maybe a prenup could make sense, but for me, it also makes me nervous because it's like you're already going in with. It almost feels a little bit like, guards up.
Yeah.
you
A
know.
prenup is not the solution. It's just a temporary fix. It's not the
And I've
permanent
also heard
solution.
like sometimes people can work with certain lawyers to get your prenup nullified.